With the SEC expanding to 16 teams, you got to wonder, is Tennessee going to pick up any more natural rivalries in this? Well, I've got one in mind, and it starts this weekend. This is the House of Orange. My name's Frank Rock. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen to the content. Thank you for just over this 9 months checking out the content. It is sincerely and greatly appreciated as you, the fan, has helped this channel grow. But let's get right into this thing. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, you share. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button as well. Make sure you turn on those notifications as we will be live tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Hope to see you in there. But this one to me has, especially you've seen fans chirp, and that can happen with any SEC teams, but Tennessee and Oklahoma, they played 4 times. So I'm going to take a look at this series and what's potentially, to me, a rivalry in the making. And some of it's pretty easy to figure out where I'm going with this one. But a quick look at this one. Oklahoma leads the series 3-1. They first played 1938 in the Orange Bowl. Tennessee won 7-0. They played again 29 years later in the Orange Bowl, and Oklahoma won 26-24. These two teams did not play again until 2014. Tennessee and Oklahoma had the home and home. They were supposed to have played another home and home around this time, but with Oklahoma coming into the SEC, things were kind of shuffled around, and they canceled that. But Oklahoma does currently have a 3-game winning streak in this series. So can Tennessee snap that this weekend? As it was announced today, Tennessee opens as right at a touchdown favorite in this game. 2014, Butch Jones, second year in charge. Tennessee goes to Oklahoma. Who was Oklahoma's co-offensive coordinator during that time? Of course, it was none other than current head coach, former Oklahoma national champion quarterback, Josh Heupel. He was the coach during that time, and we'll get a little bit more into that one in a minute as well. But Oklahoma won that game 34-10, and that was a game that it wasn't close. That was not a close game. Trevor Knight was Oklahoma's quarterback at the time. Oklahoma dominated that game. That was at the point, too, where it just looked like Tennessee's offensive line was just horrific. It looked that way. Justin Worley was the quarterback. He got killed in that game. And, God bless Justin Worley. The dude gave it his all when he played for Tennessee. But let's just face it, man. When we look over the years of Tennessee quarterbacks, you look at right now Nico, you look at Joe Milton, Hendon Hooker, you look at all the years. Really, the last, under Philip Fulmer, you had Eric Ainge, had a pretty good, his sophomore year left a little bit to be desired. Freshman, junior, senior years, Eric Ainge was a hell of a quarterback. Jonathan Crompton, Philip Fulmer's last year, it just wasn't working. But then Lane Kiffin come in. That Georgia game, things turned around. Jonathan Crompton played his way into being drafted. Really, after that, though, Lane Kiffin got Tyler Bray in. Tyler Bray was decent. He left after his junior year when Butch Jones was coming in. And for a couple years, Butch Jones shuffled with Justin Worley, with Nathan Peterman. You saw Josh Dobbs get a little bit of action, and it just didn't work his first year. There were moments in there, but then Justin Worley's the quarterback here. Justin Worley gets hurt later on, and it was against Alabama. Nathan Peterman started a little bit. Josh Dobbs come in. The rest was history for the next, 2.5 years. Josh Dobbs bought Butch Jones probably another year, to be honest with you, because he got him to the bowl game in his second year. But Justin Worley, there were 5 sacks, and he was on his toes all night. The total yardage in that game, Oklahoma had 454, 313 for Tennessee. Tennessee did cause a couple of turnovers. It was 3-2. Oklahoma forced 3, Tennessee 2. That game was 27-10 in the fourth quarter, and then Tennessee was driving, and Oklahoma 100-yard interception return sealed the deal on that one. Pretty emphatic win for Oklahoma. It was one I was not overly impressed with Oklahoma, but just at that point in time, Tennessee didn't have the quarterback play that they were going to be competitive with them. They just didn't. So Oklahoma rolled on. Tennessee did, of course. They did finish bowl eligible that season, and they went in, played Iowa, drilled Iowa with Josh Dobbs at the helm, It was a great bowl game for them. Now, funny enough, after the end of that 2014 season, Oklahoma, things didn't end the way they wanted. Who was scapegoating all of it? It was Josh Heupel. Josh Heupel was relieved of his duty. Jay Norvell, the wide receiver coach, was gone as well. I've seen interviews I was looking at beforehand. Josh Heupel, he was pretty hurt by it. He was classy about it as well. And he said, thank God it happened because he wouldn't be where he is now. Josh Heupel was able to, because Lincoln Riley replaced Josh Heupel as the offensive coordinator with Oklahoma. The rest is history. Bob Stoops, he retired. Lincoln Riley took over. Lincoln Riley then didn't want to go to the SEC. He took the USC job. Now Brent Venables is there now. Funny how things would have worked had Josh Heupel not been let go. If Josh Heupel would have been probably been the offensive coordinator that he is now, he might have been the heir apparent to Bob Stoops. It's really funny how that worked out, but he was able to go out on his own, do his own thing. Missouri offensive coordinator, went to Central Florida. Now he's at Tennessee, and he's thriving at Tennessee with one of, if not the most exciting team in college football. Really funny how that works out sometimes. But then, so Oklahoma at this point in the series, they're up 2-1. Then 2015 happened. Still remember this game. Lots of people remember this game. Oklahoma won this game in double overtime, 31-24. This is one I was irate. I think a lot of people were irate over this game as Tennessee was in control, and they blew it. They blew this game. That was the story of that season with Tennessee. They lost that Oklahoma game where they shouldn't have won. They later blew the Florida game that they should not have lost. Tennessee lost 4 games that year, and there was at least 2 of them they shouldn't have lost. They were up late against Alabama. I didn't have as much of a problem with that. And then you let Arkansas come in and push you around that year. Funny enough, at the end of that season, Butch Jones makes the change with John Jancic. That was effectively, to me, the final nail in the coffin for Butch Jones. He also let go of Dave Lawson, which was also part of that nail in the coffin for him. 2 very, very bad decisions now that you look back on it. But in this series, Tennessee, this kills me right here. First quarter, 9:51 to go in first quarter. Aaron Medley kicks a 19-yard field goal. Tennessee had the ball on the half freaking yard line and kicks a field goal on it. In a game like that, on the half-yard line, if you cannot get a half-yard line, you might as well just pack it up. You don't deserve to win the football game. And it come back on them. It come back on them. Okay, that was gutless. That's gutless. I seen something about he did it again yesterday against Michigan. Butch Jones did. A gutless coach and just numerous gutless calls over that's why he didn't sustain at Tennessee. That's the main reason, because he was gutless when it came down to it. Tennessee was up 10-0. They got up 17-0 on Oklahoma in the second quarter. Oklahoma gets a field goal in the second quarter, 17-3. We get to the fourth quarter. This is a game, if you remember, Baker Mayfield was Oklahoma's quarterback, and he said it. Now, I don't know if it's still true, but at that time he said, this is the loudest environment I've ever heard in my playing career. Bob Stoops has been on record saying that was the loudest stadium he had ever been into. That crowd was phenomenal. And I'm not sure if it still counts as the highest decibel ranking in Neyland Stadium or not. But if not, there's been some sense that possibly could have passed it. But I remember that environment. I was actually in Gatlinburg that weekend watching the game. What an environment, man. Hats off to the people that were at that game that day. Leave me a comment in the comment section if you were there, just to kind of relive how loud that stadium was. Neyland Stadium brought it. Neyland Stadium was feeling it on that day. And unfortunately, I think it boils down to a coach that didn't have the guts to do it. Oklahoma tied the game with 40 seconds left. 13 plays, 60 yards, 5 minutes, 26 seconds. Tied it at 17-17. Went to overtime. Jalen Hurd scored to make it 24-17. Oklahoma tied it up 24-24. And then in the second overtime, Oklahoma scored. And then, if I'm not mistaken, Josh Dobbs threw an interception that ended the game. And that was one I was so disgusted at the end of that game because I felt like Tennessee missed a grand opportunity to win that football game. And, you look at the stats from that game, and there was nothing real eye-opening with it. Why John Jancic was gone, I think it was more because of end-of-game stuff. But you look at the yardage from that game. Oklahoma had 348. Tennessee only had 254 in that game. Tennessee ran for 129. They only threw for 125 in the game. There were 17 combined punts. So it was really more of a defensive struggle in that game. Dobbs, 13 out of 31, 125. He was sacked 3 times. He threw the pick at the end. Tennessee's rushing was decent. They gained 183. They lost. Dobbs on sacks and Hurd even lost 60. They lost 54, so he netted 129. Just their defense in that game. They had sacks, forced fumbles. It just boiled down to Oklahoma made more plays. Oklahoma did it more. Bob Stoops coached to win. Butch Jones did not. Butch Jones, he coached not to lose. Anytime you coach not to lose, normally you lose. So that was kind of what happened. So that was the last game in the series. Now you fast forward 9 years later. This one has the potential to evolve into a rivalry. Oklahoma's first game in SEC play. Brent Venables, Josh Heupel, they are guys. They've said they're friends. But you got to think Josh Heupel is going to go in there fired up. I'll talk more about that game in the morning when I release the video in that 6 to 7 o'clock range for you. I hope you'll check that one out, detailing Tennessee versus Oklahoma this year, talking about what's to come. But I hope you'll like this content here. Make sure you share it out, thumbs up. Like I said, if you have not subscribed, make sure you subscribe as well and hit that notifications button as well. If you want to support the channel, you want to say thanks, there is a super thanks in the bottom right corner. There is the Patreon membership, $1 a month does go to support the channel, or there's some memberships as well. Any support, I cannot state enough. I appreciate all of you so much for just taking the time to check out the content, to listen to the channel, to help make this channel what it is. It's not possible without you, the listener. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. And last but most certainly not least, go Vols.